Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is the Our Turf Football Podcast. You have us all. We haven't all been on together in so long. I'm so excited about this. It's going to be so much fun. So I am Dana. We have Kate. We have Lisa. We have Sonia. You have the whole gang here today. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure that if you're watching over on Facebook or on Twitter, come to the YouTube channel because we have a live chat function and we love to hear from you guys. We want to know what you're thinking. And so please come over and join us over there. Before we get started tonight, we have a lot to talk about. I want to, of course, thank our donkeys, our sponsor, Donkeys Cheesesteaks. They have 3 locations in New Jersey. They have Medford, Mount Holly, and Camden. But of course, you can go to goldbelly.com. You can look up Donkey's Place Cheesesteaks, and they will send them directly to your home. So huge thanks to them. That's why we have all those beautiful food pictures on our Twitter page. It's just so fun.
That looks good.
It's so good. So anyway, all right, you guys. So we were gone last week. I hope everyone had a nice Halloween. Everyone had a week off. It was lots of fun. But we got stuff and things, right? Like we have all kinds of things to talk about. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of hot topics that happened late this afternoon. First, let's start about good old Carson Wentz. Man, he's like Colt McCoy. He just doesn't go away, does he? He's just there all the time. Carson Wentz was signed today by the LA Rams. I don't think it's official yet, but everyone is talking about it.
Right.
They let go of Ripien, who just played for them last week, started because, of course, Matthew Stafford is hurt again. And then they got rid of him and they signed Carson Wentz. Now, this is the Rams bye week. They did think that Carson would be back after the bye, but Wentz is just insurance. I don't know that I buy that. And Sonia, I want to ask you, since you are the Matt Stafford girl, right? I think I was shocked when he came back this year at all, and now he's injured again. And I know it's just his thumb, but you know those things start to add up. Do you think Stafford comes back?
If he does, it's going to be later on in the year. But like you said, his injuries add up, and it's just a quote unquote thumb. But no, knowing Matthew Stafford, he probably had it really reconstructed something more than I would. And he's a gamer. He wants to be out there, but no, he's injured too much, and I think there's something bigger going on with just his thumb.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kate, do you think that they would have brought in someone like Carson Wentz if they thought Stafford was going to be good the rest of the season?
No, they wouldn't have. They would have just ridden with, Ripien or whoever they found. We had all kinds of, running backs kicking field goals this week. Like they would have just put somebody.
That's true.
Center. Like if they thought his return was imminent, they would have just waited for him. I feel like they've kind of given up on the season.
Yeah, well, and they should, right, Lisa? I mean, look at their record. They won, 3 games?
Right. But he's a good insurance policy. I mean, even if Matthew comes back, you still, I think you'll be a little bit, experience is there, right? Let's agree. Honestly, he's been in the league. He knows how to play. So I think it's more of an insurance thing because, like you said, with Matthew, it's so hot and cold. Because it's just, I don't think the last 3 seasons he's finished the season.
Right.
No.
So
3. It's been 3, right? Yeah.
It's 3. Yeah. So I think it's a good insurance policy. It's on the bye week. He'll have a little chance to, learn some of the offense. But then again, like some other quarterback in Minnesota, you don't need long sometimes.
Yeah, it's true. So in comments, we have, of course, our good friend John, who is here with us again this week. We're so happy about that. He says, Rams are going nowhere. Makes no sense for Stafford to come back. Ditto to Aaron. So Aaron Rodgers had a little throwaway comment today that, he's going to be back in a couple of weeks. Had to back up from that and say, oh, no, figuratively he meant. But I kind of agree with him there that if the Jets don't get better, why bother? Just let him play it out, right? Yeah.
I heard him. Yeah, he could get hurt worse,
or re-injure it and then you're screwed. Yeah, for a long time. I think so. That is just crazy for sure. The other bit of Breaking news today, and Lisa, I'm handing this one over to you. The Titans announced that they are benching Ryan Tannehill, right? They are going to sit down. Hold on. Let me get through this really quick. So they're going to go with Will Levis, Mr. Powder from the draft. Okay. So he had a good week 8, right? So he beat the Atlanta Falcons, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 238 yards. Last week, not near as pretty against the Steelers, ended up throwing a game-losing interception. Mm-hmm. But the Titans have decided they want to roll with the new kid. Does this spend the complete end for Tannehill, please?
Yeah, I don't think you go back.
Yeah.
I don't think you go back at this point because when you look at the game and you look at Levis, the way he plays, it's almost to me, and I'm not using it as a comparison, but I'm going to use it as a comparison. Mm-hmm. It's CJ Stroudish. He doesn't look scared. He stays in that pocket. I mean, the kid has a little bit of the it factor on him, and you can see it when he's playing. He's got a great arm. So if I'm a Titans fan, I'm giving this kid, this is a rookie. Let's go. Let's ride. And I think that's what you need to take. You know what you have in Ryan Tannehill, right? You've seen it. Mm-hmm. This kid has so much upside to him. Let's see what else he can bring. And it almost like he elevates the game when you look at him. And when you watch him play, he plays with such confidence. He plays with poise. And I think they like that. And I think the players respond to it. So if I'm a Titans fan, I have no issues with this. I don't think you turn back. I think Ryan Tannehill is probably done in Tennessee after this. Because to me, I would move forward with him as well. So I am going to say, to me, that is, you've seen the end of the Tannehill era there.
Mm-hmm. Kate, what are your thoughts on Will Levis? You know, we kind of gave the kid a bad time during the draft because he looked like he was pouting. We know he wasn't. But we said second round grade. You know, sometimes the quarterbacks come in, but he seemed really great the first week and not the second.
So the more that he's on the field, the more film there is for defenses to watch to see how he's adjusting to that. He's played a couple very different defenses in the last few weeks. I don't think this is a big deal for the fans at all. They were screaming for Tannehill to be gone last year in the playoffs. True. And when you've got a running back like Derrick Henry, who they didn't move at the trade deadline, you've only got so mumuch time to have him. I know the Jaguars are like going to run away with that division, but Tennessee's only a game out. Like they're at 3 and 5, and second and third place is 4 and 5. Like they could get up to second place in that division, and they could get themselves into a wild card spot if he plays well. He was a very popular pickup in fantasy leagues. I'm in 3 of them, and somebody picked him up and played him in every one of my leagues. Ooh. And they got lucky because he did really well this week. But you know, I think part of the reason why we give him a hard time is also because he went to Kentucky, and that's a basketball school. And how do you draft people from a basketball school?
Amen.
Just saying. So I think he'll be okay. It's time for Tennessee to move on.
Right. Well, you know, there was just a lot that happened. Obviously, we lost a bunch of quarterbacks. Daniel Jones went out. Of course, we missed Kirk Cousins last week because we were not on last week. Daniel Jones, I was like, he came back for half a game. That dude.
They owe him back next year.
$35 million guaranteed next year. He will be on the field for the Giants.
Oh, he'll be on the field.
Yeah.
He might be punting or something, but he's going to be.
He's going to be doing something. I know. I don't remember who said it. It's like, well, you know what? They need to be at least emptying trash cans or something.
Something.
The water boy.
Uber driving the players around.
Back and forth.
I know.
The Giants.
Oh, God. The Giants. They are a mess, man. All right, everyone. Well, let's get into our topics a little bit for this week. So we wanted to start out this week talking about the Raiders. I have not been quiet about how much I dislike Josh McDaniels. In fact, I'm quite vocal about how much I dislike Josh McDaniels. So I was not heartbroken when he was let go this week. I thought it was half a season too late. I thought they should have let him go at the end of last season. Was a little more surprised about the GM, though. So there was a lot that came out about what was going on within the Raiders organization, within the players, and all of that this week. Lisa, why don't you fill us in a little bit?
Well, basically what happened is it always does that, right? After a coach leaves, all the dirty laundry comes out. And especially, I think Devontae Adams started it, to be honest with you, because he's one of those diva wide receivers that doesn't feel like he was, getting a fair shake, kind of got on the in McDaniel's doghouse to begin with. So I think he led the charge with the players. I don't think it was quite in depth like I thought it was. I mean, to have Antonio Pierce, is that Antonio the coach?
Here's the new coach.
Yep. Which, you got to understand, that dude isn't spectacularly clean either. I mean, the New York Post, and I want to read this quote out of the New York Post.
I didn't know about this.
Listen to this. It says Pierce's NFL bio reads more of an indictment than an endorsement.
How Raiders?
So exactly, he fits right in, does he not? So I started laughing when I read that, because apparently some of the higher brass in the NFL are just okay. This better be a temporary. Where the Raiders are like Mark Davis said, he's giving him a shot. This is his. They played the Giants. Let's admit, right? They played the Giants. But it was very impressive, their win. It looks like the players are responding to the guy. They benched Jimmy G, which, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know
how you feel about it. It's Jimmy G. He was Shanahan in his career. He's never been healthy, right? And now he comes in and he can't do crap. No, bench him. Start your young guy. Get the rest.
Who's having the laugh right now?
Right, Derek Carr's laughing. I did. I said that's
just sitting home with his popcorn, enjoying his life.
Right. But I mean, when he had Antonio Pierce talk to the team, then he got mad at Pierce because he used the Patriots Giants game as a reference to, how don't give up. This is it. And then he just reamed him for don't ever say anything about the Patriots. So he's a Patriot guy. Now he's being branded as a Patriot guy.
He's Bill Belichick's baby.
Right. Which exactly. Now it's prompting speculation in New England with Bill. If Bill goes, we're just going to bring McDaniels in because obviously he's a Patriot guy. And it almost makes you think, did he set that up? Did he know he was on the outs? No. It was just like, But I mean, he was legit. That the player said he was legit pissed off that they used the Patriots because apparently you were not allowed to say anything bad about any of the Patriots.
Oh my God, that's insane.
I know. So this guy seems like he was a hot mess.
Right. He was a hot mess. So Graham in comments says Josh McDaniels should have never gotten a head coaching job. Ooh, at least. Should have never gotten a head coaching job the way he dropped Indy at the 11th hour. I totally agree. Right. Sonia, how do you feel about I've been very vocal that I can't stand Josh McDaniels. How do you feel about him? And do you think that he will get another head coaching job even in New England? Because twice now, massive failure.
I don't think he will get another head coaching job. I don't think he should get another head coaching job. He almost sounds like what he was doing, what Matt Patricia was doing with the Lions.
Yep.
And just killing everything, killing momentum in the locker room and stuff like that, and trying to establish the Patriot way outside of New England. And you can't do that. It's not going to work. You have to really kind of buy into the identity of the team and stuff like that. So I don't think he'll even get a chance in New England again. Just because I think they're trying to get back to where they have been. And McDaniels, I don't think, has proven that he can do that.
He can't. He doesn't seem to be able to do anything. So Camden in comments, hi Camden, says Jeff Saturday deserves more of a chance than McDaniels. I agree, right? Like you want to
wholeheartedly,
right? Yeah, absolutely. I find this very interesting. On another podcast that I did, it was brought up that there's only one Bill Belichick, and he's the only one that can get away with the crap that he tries. Kate, do you think that the Bill Belichick tree has taken a massive hit?
Yes.
The coaching tree, excuse me.
Absolutely. That coaching tree has taken a hit. It was already wobbling, like it had been hit by lightning and it was wobbling. And you might as well bring in the logging crew right now with the chainsaws and everything. It's done. I think McDaniels does end up back in New England.
Do you? Okay.
I do. And I think because Bill still loves him. Josh McDaniels is actually from here. He's from Ohio, played football at Canton McKinley. His dad was a coach there for years. When he's off-season stuff, he does a lot of stuff in Ohio, talks to a lot of our media guys. And what I'm hearing on the radio around here is that people in New England still love him. Love him. And that maybe now that Bill's thinking about settling down and retiring, he might do that to turn the reins over to Josh. I heard crazy speculation today about Bill leaving the Patriots and actually going to another team next year. No. And I don't care who the team is. I can't imagine him coaching anywhere. anywhere but where he's at. So, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. But that's the only place I can see him ending up.
Yeah, for sure. So Peter in comments said that if Antonio Pierce gets his teams to the playoffs, he should be a full-time coach. But I hadn't heard about, his problems that he had in the past too. So that is going to be something interesting to watch. But he was a very inspirational speaker, and that's why they decided to roll with him. So we'll have to figure out what he's going to do there for sure. This is interesting too. He also said, I would imagine that Al Davis would have fired McDaniels within the first year for throwing him under the. I completely agree. Al Davis would not have put up with that crap in any way, shape, or form at all. 100% agree. All right, let's move on to our next topic, which I love. And Kate, I wanted you to talk about this because I know that you probably know this guy better than anybody. But the funny thing is, Josh Dobbs, God love him, journeyman football player, has played for 4 or 5 teams now at this point, shows up in the building in Minnesota on Thursday, has to start on Sunday and wins. It was a great story. It was great.
If you ignore the 3 fumbles.
It was so good though.
Okay, he only lost 2 of them. If you ignore the fact that he fumbled the ball, when you're on the sidelines and you have to did not take a single snap from center in practice.
Nope.
This week because they didn't think he was going to have to play that soon. And then he's in. They're on the sidelines. I saw some film today and you can see the coaches talking to him. He's like, telling him to count and then you're going to 1, 2, 3. That's your progression. Like it's backyard football. Just get out there and go. And for our friend John in the chat, I double checked. He did rush for more yards on Sunday. He had 66 rushing yards, which is more yards than the Jets had in that entire game. Just confirming from the people who like my stats. That is the
stats. I love the stats.
I don't get the hype. Like everyone's like, oh, he came in and at the last minute he saved the day. And I'm like, did you watch the whole game? The Falcons
doesn't matter.
Lost that more than they won that.
Did. Yes, they did.
And
but
I don't know
if
Bijan Robinson slept with Arthur Smith's daughter or what the problem is and why that man is not on the field with 1 or 2 yards to go. He had 11 carries. He's had like 1 time. Like the misuse of that man this year is mind-boggling. But Dobbs originally started out his career with Pittsburgh. If you look at his stats, they don't even show the stint that he did with Cleveland because he never played in a regular season game. He had 2 years with Pittsburgh where he only played in 6 games. Then he was with the Titans, played for 2 games with the Titans. The 8 games with Arizona was like his biggest resume, and it wasn't great this year. We all know what Arizona is.
But Arizona scored 24. He scored 24 points on the Ravens. I'm just going to put that out there.
He did.
Go ahead.
He did, Kate.
He did.
He did. So we'll talk about the Ravens in our next segment because the Ravens from weeks 1 through 4 are not the Ravens we're going to see week 11.
Exactly. That is very much so.
And we've talked about that too. And you talked about Dobbs though.
Yeah. But, we got rid of him here, and I wasn't impressed with him here. And I saw what he did in Minnesota, and clapping my hands. And I hope with the right, we talk about this all the time, ladies, with a quarterback. If you are in the right system at the right place with the right coach and the right pieces, you can look amazing. And Josh, maybe he found the place with all the pieces for him. We'll see. You keep dropping the ball 3 times a game. You're gonna have trouble winning.
I just keep thinking he never practiced once with the center, not a single snap.
And I don't know how you make that trade and bring him in, and you don't at least have them up. What did we see in Hard Knocks? We saw almost a whole episode of Aaron Rodgers showing the center, this is where I like the ball to be, and this is how I want you to send it. Like, it was a whole thing. I'm like, Josh, not a single snap. So, I wish him the best. He wasn't the quarterback for me. Cleveland all complained when DTR had that bad game. I'm like, dude, you put him in way too soon in a bad situation. That has nothing to do with Josh Dobbs. He can go be happy wherever he's at. And I hope he does very well for Minnesota for the rest of the season. They're going to have a hard time getting past Detroit to win that division, no matter how well they play.
I just don't think he has. I don't think he has anything to be pressured about. I think that's kind of what you got. You got the laid back Josh Dobbs. This is, it's where I think with him, with when he tried with the Steelers and stuff like that. And obviously there's something amiss because honestly, if he was a franchise quarterback, he would be somewhere. Come on, let's be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's not. But I think that's the whole point, Lisa, is he's not a franchise quarterback. He's
not.
a third string quarterback. He's your emergency guy. And yet he's managed to play pretty well, not beautiful, not elite, not anything.
Right.
But for three
Just
different
enough.
teams in the season,
Just
and it's only week 10, right? And I think that's what people are impressed with.
Light up that last comment from John, because I think that's important.
With this one?
That speaks, not that one.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It's the last one.
This one. Minnesota is the kind of team where you can plug and play. For as beige as Kirk Cousins is, you can put a quarterback with good skills in at center, and you can have success in Minnesota. That is a very nicely rounded team where they're not lopsided, right? They're very balanced and they're in their lane. And Case is an example of it. And you may see Josh Dobbs get them to the wild card because he'll do just enough. If he stops fumbling the ball, he'll do just enough to get him there. But I think Minnesota is that kind of team where you can do that.
Right. No, definitely.
It's very interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting, and I love that he's an actual rocket scientist. Like by college degree, Josh Dobbs is a rocket scientist, and that's freaking amazing to me. But it also makes him extremely analytical. So there was a comment earlier, I don't know if it was John or Graham or maybe Camden said earlier, it's like you go in, it's quarterbacking. You got to throw to the guys. I get it. Right. It's just how they preference and what they do, but the logic is there. And I think that's probably why he's doing as well as he is this year. So I think it's super, super fun in me. I loved everything about it, but it's okay. So, all right. Our last little segment, and I left lots of time for this one because, there's going to be a lot of conversation about this. So there's been a lot of arguments since Sunday about the best teams in football. Power rankings are all over the place. AFC, NFC, both completely all over the whole wide world. Like no one is agreeing with anything except for like who maybe the top 4 are in the AFC. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. I want everyone in our comments, so everyone who's watching, I want your guys' comments on this too, because it is almost subjective at this point. We have these roller coaster teams who are good one week, terrible the next. We have teams who manage to squeak out wins, but are not as dominant as we thought they were going to be. And then you have teams where you don't know who the hell they are, right? So that's really fun and love that. So let's start with the AFC. Since we are really split, there's 2 NFC girls and 2 AFC girls in here. So I think that that's really fun. But let's go ahead and start with the AFC. Now, I said it during the Seahawks game when that was a horrible, no good game. And Sonia can commiserate with this. When you play the Ravens, now you get your ass handed to you. So the interesting thing, So the interesting thing, I said this on Twitter and I got a little backlash. The Ravens are the best team in football right now. And what I mean by that is they are the most balanced team. Lamar Jackson is looking like the MVP that he was last year. You have a defense that is absolutely unstoppable. They have a good balance on the run and the pass. They are a complete team. It's hard to find holes in that team for me. But the backlash was the Chiefs. But hold your horses on Kansas City. Because my thought on Kansas City is that they look beatable almost every game they're in. They managed to pull it out. And yes, I know Patrick Mahomes was sick and we get that, right? We understand all of that. But I want, even against the Miami team, their defense looked great. The offense did not. I was so shocked when they didn't get a number 1 wide receiver at the trade deadline. What the hell are you doing? I was shocked. Anyway, so then you have to look at who is left in the AFC. You have the Dolphins at 6-3, still one of the more dominant teams out there right now. You have the Bengals, who look like they are flying to the AFC Championship right now. That Bengals-Ravens game is going to be the best game to death. I can't wait to watch that. And then you have the Jaguars sitting there at 6-2, who aren't looking so bad themselves. And then Houston on their way up the right. There's so much going on. Sonia, I want to start with you. Where are you at with the AFC?
Pretty much those teams that you highlighted, I think are the best, but I'm gonna definitely stick with the Ravens. They are putting it together. And like who just said this, that the Ravens that we saw at the beginning of the season are not the same
Kate.
Ravens, and they are not the same Ravens
Mm-mm.
because they were definitely beatable, but now it looks like it's all clicking now. So Ravens, I think right now are definitely the team to beat. I would definitely say I would probably put, oh gosh, it's like top four and then, or the Ravens, and then kind of everybody else is kind of
Starts to wiggle in the middle. Yeah.
Exactly. So you could say Miami because they are looking actually pretty good this year, and I like what they're doing. And then the Chiefs, they are missing Eric Bieniemy way more than they'll give you credit for. But I think, I mean, they're definitely beatable. And then, like you said, the Jaguars are just right there. They're right there, and they are looking very good too. So I think those are my top four in the AFC.
We'll get to the NFC in just a minute. All right. Lisa, I'm going to wait and do yours last because I have a feeling I want to give you about a stat. So, Kate, where are you at in the AFC? I don't think it's in chat. They're all talking. You can't ignore the Bengals. Holy God, they look good too.
No,
but the
you
Ravens
can't.
just are so complete.
Aside from the fact that the AFC North is the best division in football.
It is right now. Absolutely.
We have the power rankings came out today, and all four of our teams are in the top 13. And Pittsburgh is not that good, but Mike Tomlin's they find a way to win.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So my top four are Ravens, Chiefs, Jags, Bengals.
Really?
With the Dolphins right in there, and the Texans, I could see them making a run for it. CJ is really hitting his stride and figuring it out. I just think this Sunday will be interesting because my Browns travel to Baltimore. And we have our quarterback back. That Arizona game was a way for Deshaun Watson to get the rust off and get back into, because they were going to keep him out one more week to make sure his shoulder was healthy. And they're like, we can't bring him back from 6 weeks off in Baltimore. That game is going to be brutal, but the Browns defense wants to get their hands on Lamar. If you can pressure him and get him to not take care of the football, you have a better chance. Seems to have figured that out like it's rocket science. He should have probably called Josh Dobbs and said, hey, what's the secret to this? I just think, Dana, your point is absolutely well taken. They are very well rounded. They are not the best offense or the best defense in the league.
They are the best defense now.
Most in the top, and they play very complementary football, and they're just very difficult to beat. And I like what the Jags are very quietly doing for a team with a schedule like they've had, playing overseas and just all the stuff. Trevor didn't let those first few losses get to him. He's just powering it through.
Yeah.
And the Bengals are really the problem with the Bengals is they're going to live or die with Joe Burrow. And he had that finger again and that injuries and stuff. If he can stay healthy, they're going to be okay. If not, I know Lisa's gonna say it. If the Dolphins could just play the way they can play all the time, that would be nice. They just can't. What is it you said, Lisa, to us on Sunday? They can't beat a team that's over 500.
Yeah, that's exactly
in their head or what it does.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
None of us mentioned the Bills because I think we are all done with the Bills. We are done with thinking the Bills are going to come through and Josh Allen's going to be, and they're going to do, and then they just don't. And we have so many good friends of the show in the Bills Mafia who are just they're struggling like I am right now. They're like, I want to believe, but I can't put them in the top 6.
Right.
So this is what Graham said. He said the Ravens, Bengals, Dolphins, Chiefs. I have a really hard time putting the Dolphins above the Chiefs because of who the Dolphins beat. They have, for what has it been, over a year since they've beaten a team over 500. And I think that says a lot for them. Lise, where are you at with this?
Well, it's the truth. I mean, the narrative's the same. Until they can get that out of their head and beat a team over 500, it's going to be that way. And I mean, you always hear in the pit about, we're beating the teams that we used not to be able to beat because the teams that we used to be able to beat. So it's almost a reverse. And then you hear, I'm happy where we are because at least just get in, and then everything can, right the ship somehow. But you just worry about it getting in your head. Because that stuff gets in players' heads. It becomes an issue. I'm totally agree with the Bills. I mean, if you're a Bills fan, you're reeling right now. What is going on in Buffalo? it's almost like Josh Allen's kind of regressing a little bit. It's kind of scary, but they're still a scary team. They're still a good team. The difference between the AFC North and the AFC East right now is just ridiculously like this. It's like one team, the Jets will be one team. Next, we see what we saw last night. It's so incredibly crazy. And you can't, I'm with Michelle Jinks on this, until the Chiefs get knocked down, I'm gonna say Chiefs.
Did you watch that Germany game, Lisa?
I did, but you know what? That's what championship teams do. They win, regardless of whether it's pretty, ugly. It doesn't matter. They still do it. I am totally with Sonia, though. Man, they are missing the enemy. I am with you 100%. I think that is going to be huge when we get to the playoff stage. But right now, hands down, this is totally a different Ravens team. Clearly number one. Followed by the Jags, number 2. The Jags are quietly just running.
I will tell you, Taylor Swift did a very nice job taking attention off of what was happening on the field with the Chiefs and putting it over, like, look over here. What's going on with Taylor?
Yes.
We don't know. And don't look at the fact that we're not playing as well as we used to play. Mahomes always does those things where he, like, makes those mistakes or he makes those throws that you should not do, and somehow it works out for him. And I think that may catch up with him in the long run this season.
I think that if they had not, and this is no offense, Lisa, or no offense to Graham either in our comments, if they had been playing, if they had been playing the Jags, the Bengals, or the Ravens, they would have lost that game in Germany, hands down. The Chiefs.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see. But we've got to. I think so too. All right, so let's move on to the NFC just a little bit now. I'm the one who said the Cowboys were going to the NFC Championship game. I can see the error of my ways. Let's just put it that way. But if you look at it, the NFC is almost more confusing than the AFC right now, to be quite honest with you. So you have the Eagles sitting at 8-1, best record in football. We could look at who they played, but that's okay. And then you have the Niners and the Seahawks both at 5-3. And with the Seahawks, yes, they got their ass kicked on Sunday. Niners lost 3 in a row. Then you have the Lions sitting there at 6-2 at the top of the North. You have the Saints. I'm sorry, the NFC South shouldn't even be in a conversation with it right now. I don't think they just like to beat each other up a little bit in that one. But so you look at these teams, and you have really the Eagles, and then you have I can't even guarantee the Niners with their 3 losses. And then it's like the Cowboys, depending on the day. You have Seattle, who knows? Hopefully they make the playoffs, but they're up there still. But then again, you can't ignore that the Lions are doing, because they are such a fun team to watch too. I am stuck. Other than the Eagles, I don't think you can rank these teams because every one of them have given you a reason to doubt them. Sonia, where are you at with the NFC?
I'm kind of the same, actually. Is the Eagles and then kind of everybody else. Yeah. I want to say the Lions should be number 2. I think that they've probably put together the most complete season that they have in a long time. So you can't really ignore that. I would have said San Francisco, at the beginning of the season, but they've fizzled real quick. And I think Brock Purdy has a lot to do with it. He's been playing injured, but still, I thought that, their defense was going to be enough to, hold them through. But that's not even it. Hopefully we'll see some with Chase Young stepping up there. But yeah, we'll see. But it's kind of Eagles and everybody else in the NFC right now, I think.
What do you think about the Cowboys? Because they lose to Arizona, but then they have these dominating wins. Like, I don't understand that. We need Michelle, but she's in Germany.
Right, exactly. No, the Cowboys, I think they kind of, without you, without all of us, I think the Cowboys are kind of who we thought they were in a way, because this is just how they have been. They win what you think they win what you don't think that they will. They lose when you think that they're going to win. And the inconsistency, I think, has just been Dak's calling card. I'm sorry, Michelle, but that's just kind of, as he goes, so does the team. But yeah,
I've heard other people say that this week, that you have to start looking at Dak. You have to.
You have to.
Yeah. Kate, where are you at with the NFC? Because I look at that Cowboys-Eagles game, man, the Cowboys took the Eagles right down to the last minute, and then it was a disaster. It didn't turn out the way they wanted. But then there's these other teams. I wouldn't be surprised seeing the Lions work their way up there either. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, I have Eagles, Lions, and then everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that group in the middle of 5 and 4 teams. I don't believe in the 49ers. I think the Brock Purdy bubble has busted, and we're done with them.
Mm-hmm.
We have, in my opinion, consistency issues with both Dallas and Seattle. I never know who I'm going to get.
Yep.
The Saints are my dark horse to move up to 3.
Really?
They are clicking. Derek Carr is smiling and happy right now. Any pressure he felt, I think, is gone. And the rest of the NFC might as well not play the rest of the season. I'm done with all that.
Just move on.
Tampa Bay, the Commanders, all of whatever. Yeah. They had one good week of,
I don't know. Sam Howell, he can play. The rest of that team's won. They got rid of everybody else at the trade deadline.
Right.
So.
When they got rid of Chase, I was like, all right, they're done for the season.
They're done.
They've given up on this year. So
yeah.
Sure. It's interesting to me because in other years we've had so many teams at the top of that division, that conference.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's really, I put the Lions right there with the Eagles.
That's interesting. I like that.
I know they're only a couple games apart in record, but I would love to see. I'd love to see them play each other. I think that would be interesting.
Oh, definitely. Lisa, where are you at with the NFC?
Wow, it's tough. I mean, when you look at how we started off with the 49ers and we all were like, this is the team to beat. Yeah. And of course we had the Eagles. So I think, like you said, it was the 49ers and the Eagles against everybody else, but it has just been so. And the only thing I want to know is the Dolphins haven't beaten anybody over 500. I don't think the Cowboys have either this year.
Oh, that's a good stat. I don't know.
So it's like everybody pounds on the Dolphins. It's like, I don't think they have beaten anybody over 500. So I'm going with that narrative with them. I think that's their kind of issue. To me, the Dolphins and the Cowboys are pretty much the same.
Interesting.
You got to get over the hump. So I'd be interested.
They beat the Giants 40-0.
The Giants aren't
over
500. Jets
not
over 500.
Not over 500.
No, they lost to the Cardinals.
They lost.
Yeah.
They beat the Patriots.
Not over 500.
They lost to the 49ers. They beat the Chargers.
Oh, Chargers are just at 500 now.
Just.
As of
last night.
Yeah. And they beat the Rams. So no, they haven't beat anyone that's over 500. But there also aren't that many teams over 500 in the NFC.
That's
true. And so who are we going to see in the playoffs? Saints, Bucks? I mean, it's going to be interesting. So it's the Eagles and against everybody else.
I think in the playoffs right now, I think it's the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Niners, the Seahawks, the Vikings, and the Lions, I think maybe.
Well, definitely.
Oh, no, it wouldn't be. We'd have to have the Saints in there too, I guess. Yeah. So this is interesting. John put this up in comments. He said, Minnesota has won 5 of the last 6. I would have put Minnesota in this conversation if Kirk Cousins hadn't gotten hurt. I would have kept them right up there. They were finding a way. You're getting Justin Jefferson back. I would have put them in there. I don't know that you're back.
I'm still putting them in there.
They might squeak in as a wild card. I'm not ruling that out, but as one of the top teams now without Cousins, which is funny for me to say because you guys know I called him beige forever, which I will never do again. But yeah, so I think that's really interesting for sure. This is an interesting development from this week that Peter put out there. It says, and if Hurts injured his knee, then it's anyone in the NFC. There was some question that because he had hurt his knee again and that he was going to bounce back and be fine. But if that becomes a persistent issue, that changes everything, I think, into that in that conversation. Camden also put out there that, wrong one. So sorry. That Sam Howell has almost beat the Eagles twice. He has kept them in those games. Sam Howell is someone we have to keep our eyeballs on.
We're talking about almost.
But if you're looking for progression, that counts against the best team in the NFC, I think. I mean, it's rainbows and butterflies, but at the same time, I think that it matters for sure. And John says, a Brian Flores defense should not be ignored. I agree with you for sure. All right. It's really, really interesting. I think that there's going to be a lot of changes. I think that when we recap our pick'em, that's not going to look so good.
Yeah, but I don't think any of us honestly thought the NFC was going to be this bad. Did we? I mean, good Lord.
I think that we knew there were a handful of teams. I think that's something, Sonia, that you actually said, that there's a handful of teams that will sit at the top, and then there's just everybody else in the
Everybody else. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what I thought at the beginning of the season. I didn't think that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was probably going to be San Francisco and the Eagles, like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, just a bunch of nothingness because we don't really know what's going on.
Right. 100%.
Every week's different. Every week is different.
So true.
It's just
so true.
crazy. Every week is different.
Yeah. Graham has an interesting point in here in chat too. He says the brotherly shove, we call it the tush push here in America, Graham.
Yes.
You might call it the brotherly shove in England. Says could end up being the Eagles' downfall if it causes an injury. A lot of beef in that pile. There's a lot of body in that pile. You are 100%. If you guys don't
we
listen,
can't hit a quarterback, but we can shove him into 300-pound linemen.
So
we should have done 20 minutes today on what is roughing the passer because I don't know anymore.
Oh, no,
I don't either.
We could have.
If your body is laying on him, that's assault and rushing the passer.
We could have done we could do an entire show on the officials this last weekend.
Yeah. But the refs did, or not the refs, the announcers during the Eagles game specifically called it the brotherly shove.
I know that's what the Eagles want to call it. It's still a tush push.
And we're not having it. We have hippie homebrew and we have the tush push and we have the things. I love him. Did you see the video of the kid who went to trick or treat as him?
Yes.
I was just like,
well
played, man. Very well played.
Graham says don't say tush in England. Graham says they don't say tush over there. Okay, Graham.
What do you say?
Thank you very much. They say something else. So so funny. All right.
It's not a good show, Graham.
John says he calls it the bum scrum. I like that too.
That sounds very John.
that play is going to be so illegal next year.
Yeah.
It is not even going to be funny. So just enjoy it while it lasts because they're gonna do something about it.
Just like what they did
just too much
jumping over the center during to block.
Yeah, there's too much because
if it works and it's fun, they must make it illegal.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is I just don't think you can have roughing the passer, but yet you can shove the quarterback, and I just it's too much. It's too much.
There's a couple other teams that are getting pretty good at it, though. I will say that they're all practicing it at this point. So, all right, everyone. Well, that is our show for this week. We, of course, will be back again next week. We want to thank everyone who joined us over here on the YouTube channel, where, as you can see throughout the show, we love to pull in comments from our live chat, and we love to hear your opinions and thoughts, even if they don't agree with ours, because most of ours don't agree half the time. It just
exactly
like they agreed this time. So we hope that you guys join us. We are here, of course, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch us on Facebook and Twitter also. So we would like for you to give the show a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe so that you get notification when we're about to go live. Yes. Okay. I want to say this about Kate's shirt. So when everyone came for the draft, I took Kate and Lisa to a Sporting Kansas City, which is my favorite soccer team game. She bought a Sporting shirt so she could wear it, and my Sporting knocked out the number 1 seed in the playoffs this weekend.
And that's all Dana talked about all weekend because it was like no Seahawk talk.
Who cares?
When we talked about soccer.
We're going to talk about soccer. It was a much
other football.
That's right.
The other football.
That's right. So, all right, everyone. We will see you guys again next Tuesday. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.